once again.
Oh hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel Technoholic. Today we are going to do a quick comparison between Apple's iPhone XS Max and Huawei Mate 20 Pro. So let's start. On the hunt for a big, beautiful smartphone this autumn? You've got plenty of options, certainly, and two of the boldest are the Apple iPhone XS Max and Huawei Mate 20 Pro. The iPhone XS Max builds off of last year's iPhone X foundation and then goes larger, delivering an expanded 6.5-inch edge-to-edge display that's a stunner in action. Toss in the ultra-speedy A12 Bionic chip, an improved dual-camera setup, and other high-end perks, and you have a serious super phone. With a supremely high price, to match. The newly announced Huawei Mate 20 Pro arrives at a lower asking price, but packs in no fewer features. It has a huge, high-resolution screen, sleek design, plenty of power, and the new class-leading triple-camera module. Can Huawei upset Apple's latest and greatest with its own iPhone-esque flagship? Here's what we think, now that we've fully reviewed both handsets. Design: mean screen machines. The iPhone X was the first headline phone to carry a screen notch and kick bezel to the curb, and the iPhone XS Max just is a larger rendition of that approach. It's roughly the size of the iPhone 8 Plus, but the screen feels so much larger thanks to the lack of big borders around it. With stainless steel along the sides and sleek glass on the back, it's a phone that looks and feels as premium as the price tag suggests. The Mate 20 Pro certainly is very close in overall design. It has a comparably sized notch atop its screen, which you can hide with black software bars on either side, but also has a small chin of bezel at the bottom. Android makers haven't quite nailed the same kind of seamless approach as Apple so far. The sides are a more common aluminum, but the phone still looks super sleek and attractive. It's also a bit curvier than Apple's handset, if you like that sort of thing. In fact, the backing has a leg up on the iPhone XS Max. Whereas Apple just has plain backing colors, the Mate 20 Pro comes in an alluring twilight gradient finish, like the P20 Pro, plus there are hyper-optical pattern versions with etching on the glass for a grippier feel. One wins the front, the other wins the back, we'll call it a draw. Screen: big and bold. It's a very close call here. The iPhone XS Max has one of the best screens on the market today, with that 6.5-inch OLED display packing more dynamic range than last year's iPhone X, along with a slight resolution bump, 2688 by 1242, to keep the same level of clarity as the smaller iPhone XS. The Mate 20 Pro, on the other hand, goes even higher resolution at 1440p for its 6.39-inch panel, which is also an OLED and likewise looks fantastic. Even with the resolution bump, there's no clear leg up on the iPhone XS Max here. They're both phenomenal screens. Note that the Mate 20 Pro has the unique capability of an in-inch display fingerprint sensor, as well, which augments the facial security option. That's a bonus feature, though, not something indicative of the visual performance of the display. Camera: the triple. Prior to the Mate 20 Pro's debut, Huawei's P20 Pro had the best smartphone camera setup on the market, with 3 cameras working in unison to deliver epic detail, 3x optical zoom, and 5x hybrid zoom. And the Mate 20 Pro is even better. It keeps the tri-camera approach, but drops a monochromatic sensor in favor of a new 20-megapixel ultra-wide-angle one. Paired with the 40MP wide-angle and 8MP telephoto cameras, it's just as strong as the P20 Pros but with newly added close-up and wider shot capabilities. We had put the P20 Pro a smidge ahead of the iPhone XS Max in terms of camera skills, and the Mate 20 Pro lightly widens the gap. Even so, it's hard to complain about what you get with Apple's XL handset. With two 12MP cameras on the back, the iPhone XS Max takes stellar shots on a consistent basis, with oft brilliant daytime results and pretty good low-light shots as well. The Smart HDR feature takes several shots and then merges them into one result, enhancing highlights and shadows in the process. Plus you can now tweak the background blur and bokeh effects of portrait shots long after you take them. Up front, the Mate 20 Pro has the same kind of sensors to enable 3D scanning for facial security and animated emoji, and we've found them to work just as well as on the iPhone XS Max thus far. Performance: Bionic boosted. Both the iPhone XS Max and Mate 20 Pro feature bespoke processors built from a new 7nm production process, which packs more and more power into a tiny frame. The iPhone XS Max is a no-doubt powerhouse, as its A12 Bionic chip towers above all existing Android competition in benchmark testing, just as its predecessor did. And the Mate 20 Pro likewise is plenty, with its new Kirin 980 chip showing serious processing capabilities. But when it comes to benchmark testing, the Kirin 980 doesn't seem to be quite on par with Apple's A12 Bionic. PhoneArena put the Mate 20 Pro through a battery of benchmark tests and found that it lagged behind the A12 in every single one of them. That may not matter much in everyday usage, as both phones should have more than enough power to handle anything you throw at them, and they run different versions of apps and games on different operating systems, so it's not a perfect comparison. But the iPhone XS Max does seem to have that much more extra, should you need it. Battery and perks, Go Pro. The iPhone XS Max has the hardiest battery SIM to date on an iPhone, with a capacity of 3,174 mAh. But given the huge screen and power needs of the phone, that's enough for a strong day's usage, not more, unless you're barely touching it. Meanwhile, the Mate 20 Pro has a huge 4,200 mAh battery. In our testing, we didn't find it to be quite capable of the day-and-a-half target of the P20 Pro, likely because of that larger, higher-resolution screen, but it can still easily push a day. It's a small, but meaningful advantage here. Both phones support wireless charging, plus the Mate 20 Pro has a unique perk of its own, the ability to put another phone on its back and wirelessly charge it. We haven't seen that one elsewhere, and certainly not on the XS Max. As far as storage goes, you can get a lot more on the iPhone XS Max. If you'll pay for it. It comes with 64GB in the base model, but there are 256GB and 512GB versions for extra cash. Meanwhile, the Mate 20 Pro comes with a fixed 128GB inside the base model, but you can slot in Huawei's new nano memory cards to add on to that tally. Verdict: it's the Mate. The iPhone XS Max is an excellent handset, packing in power, premium allure, and Apple's signature OS experience inside arguably its best ever smartphone. However, it's incredibly expensive at £1,099, even more so than last year's iPhone X, which earned plenty of flack for its £999 tag. But as an extra refined take on the P20 Pro, our previous favorite handset, the Mate 20 Pro even edges out Apple's latest and greatest. And it's £200 less, at that. They're neck and neck in design and screen quality, while the iPhone XS Max has a smidge more processing grunt within, but the better camera setup, along extra battery life and base internal storage, help make the Mate 20 Pro just a bit more appealing. If you're already an Apple devotee and can't see switching now, then proceed directly to the Apple Store and claim your iPhone XS Max. It's awesome. Otherwise, the Mate 20 Pro is the better overall bet at the better overall price. The Mate 20 Pro handled everything we demanded from it with ease. Thanks to the phone's new Kirin 980 processing chip, gaming on the Mate 20 Pro is one of the slickest experiences available on a smartphone, with performance-intensive titles such as Asphalt 9 performing well over long periods of use. This is also helped by the stunning 3120 by 1440 resolution 6.39 in OLED display, which curves downwards ever so slightly on either side. Colors pop and images look razor sharp, making the Mate 20 Pro ideal for both viewing and editing pictures. The battery life, meanwhile, may be among the very best on the market. We often achieved well over a day's worth of power from a single charge, despite using more battery-intensive apps such as YouTube and Netflix. Users can opt for a boost mode, which ramps up the phone's performance but reduces battery power faster. This setting is ideal for those wanting to get the very best out of games, particularly the massively popular multiplayer game Fortnite, Battle Royale. Much like the recent crop of smartphones, the Mate 20 Pro comes with wireless charging as standard. There are some instances where the Mate 20 Pro isn't quite as nippy as buyers may be expecting. This mainly centers around the face scanning security feature that allows users to log into their device by simply looking at the screen. It's a handy feature, but we found this method can sometimes take a little too long to scan a user's face. You can bypass this by either typing in a passcode or scanning your fingerprint using the scanner that's built into the screen. Again, the technology on display here is impressive, but the dedicated fingerprint scanner placed behind the screen, much like the Google Pixel 3, is more responsive. The camera is an area where the Mate 20 Pro really shines. The smartphone is one of the few on the market to sport 3 rear-facing Leica lenses, all offering different zoom capabilities. For example, one of the lenses provides a wide-angle image, while the most extreme lens offers a 10x zoom. But users don't have to select lenses manually, the phone sorts this out automatically. Users simply need to pinch the screen to zoom in and out. The latest version of Android is also included on the Mate 20 Pro, Android 9.0 Pie, with Huawei's own ME9 skin on top. The latter has been refined a good deal since the last iteration, with again plenty of speed and options available. We trialed the device while on a visit to Austin, Texas, and we were thoroughly impressed by the image quality that the Leica camera delivers. The camera was able to pick out minute details, including imperfections on walls and blades of grass lining the suburbs of the city's streets. The camera is so impressive that we opted to make the Mate 20 Pro our default camera for the trip, rather than lugging around our semi-professional Canon EOS 77D camera around the eccentric city. Video quality was also high, but it doesn't quite offer the clarity of Apple's new range of iPhones. Feature-packed, powerful and ideal for photographers, the Mate 20 Pro excels in almost every aspect. While its face scanning tech needs a few tweaks to compete with the equivalent versions on the iPhone XS Max and Note 9, there's very little to criticize on the Chinese smartphone. For £200 less, the Mate 20 Pro poses a very credible threat thanks to its elegant styling, speedy processor, expandable storage, excellent cameras, and embedded fingerprint sensor. We have to say, it feels an all-round better deal for consumers happy to switch to Android. Make no mistake, Huawei isn't a brand to be messed with anymore. The Mate 20 Pro is a serious competitor at the top of the smartphone market and throws another device into the range of superb Android phones to choose from. Thanks for watching this video. Do subscribe our channel for future updates.